I gave my message to the wind. I told my story to the sea. No one else is listening to me. The hidden truth clear in my mind. Soon all alone I will not find. Somehow, somewhere, someone may hear me. Hold on to love, hold on to love, but beware of men who became beasts of prey. Many are they, child without a soul, men without a heart. They're one hungry goal to tear your life apart. How many are they? Don't try to find out. Stay away. They are without shame. This is not a game. From them stay away, or you could become one. I say. I gave my message to the wind. I told my story to the sea. Somehow, somewhere, someone may hear me. Hold on to love, hold on to love, hold on to love.
Humans. These weak, fragile, fleshy things. Capable of such beauty. Such destruction. And often the two are the same. I have seen their creations. I have walked the halls of their most hallowed ground. The same as I have walked their graveyards, their battlefields, their markets. Life is as much a currency as time.
Two things they seem to know nothing about.
If only we could speak to them, we could, well, let's be honest. We would consume them and use their base components as materials for much more useful things. But still, I wonder, was there something about their stories, their culture, that could be used to understand existence and our place in it? We may never know. And so, here we are. Welcome to the first episode of Things I Don't Hate, where I will be examining pieces of disgusting human media and stripping them down to their best bits. This week, we will be exploring a forgotten gem of 70s horror. Messiah of evil. Cults, zombies, ancient gods lurking in the sea. Inevitable unavoidable madness.
It's all great stuff.
And they're waiting. They're waiting for you. And they'll take you one by one, and no one will hear you scream. No one will hear you scream!
Wow, that's intense. Now our protagonists Arletty tells us about her father who works as an artist in Point Dume. He stopped writing recently. And his last letter was incoherent and filled with mad ramblings, so she is driving out to check on him.
Doesn't sound like dogs.
Has to be dogs. Rabbits don't make that sound.
That's Point Dune ahead, isn't it?
Why do you want to go to Point Dume?
I'm visiting somebody there.
I can't understand why anybody would want to go to Point Dume visiting.
No. Don't look in there. What are you doing?
All three. Never opened the package.
Oh, but it's too late, buddy. You've seen too much.
The machine's broke, lady. Don't you have any cash?
Well, no, but this is...
That's all right. Forget it.
Oh,
Get out!
Yeah, girl, just bail. GTFO and never look back. She makes it to her father's house, but it's locked and no one's home. Okay, sure. Your dad won't be mad about that. In her father's final journal entry, he describes things that he's seen. Grotesque, impossible creatures. Pale, thin, hollow-eyed people building fires on the beach. He was convinced he was losing his mind.
He didn't return that night. I walked along the beach in the morning, as I'm sure he must have, coming out of the nightmares he spoke of, back into the daylight.
She asks around town about her dad, but no one seems to know anything. She does discover that someone else is looking for her dad, which leads her to...
I'm as old as the hills. Mama delivered me herself. She took me from between her legs. Bloody little mess.
She finds Tom, Laura, and Tony, who are offering an old drunk a bottle of wine in exchange for his life story. He's a little odd, but ultimately harmless, until he mentions the red moon.
What about the moon?
100 years ago, the moon started turning red up in the sky and things began to happen. It was like the red of the moon got up there, the closer the people were being jerked toward hell. Where the people started bleeding out of control. They found children eating raw meat. It was like the town was festering with an open sore until the night that they came down out of the canyon. And
who came down, Charlie?
I gotta go.
Arletty asks Tom about her father. It turns out he found some of her dad's paintings in a gallery. When he asked about them, the owner got weird and wouldn't let him buy them. But other than that, he knows nothing. On her way out, Charlie stops her and delivers a line that is somewhere between foreshadowing and Chekhov's gun.
What about my father?
You have to kill him.
You're crazy.
can't bury him. Don't put him in the ground. You gotta burn him. You gotta put fire to his body.
I spent the afternoon in town asking about my father. The reaction was always the same. People would only stare or shake their heads and back away.
Arletty is awoken in the night by an open door and an ominous humming.
What are you doing here?
Just lurking, watching you sleep. Like a creep. So it turns out Charlie, the drunk, was found dead a few hours after they spoke, torn apart by wild animals. The cops couldn't pin anything on Tom and the girls, but something about him being a vagrant with delusions of grandeur who is seducing a barely legal teenager keeps the cops from trusting him. I get it. Now no motel in town will put them up. So they snuck into Arletty's dad's place. And like a chump, Arletty lets them stay. Blah blah blah, Tom hits on Arletty, Laura pokes holes in all of his cheesy lines, Tony complains about the food. Tom gets annoyed by Laura's cock blocking, Arletty regrets her decision to let them stay. Eventually Tom heads to the beach, where in the distance he sees a group of cloaked figures surrounding several fires. Laura finally decides to give up on Tom and all of his crap.
What about me? You're just a kid. You'll be alright.
It does seem kind of freaked up to leave the naive teenager with the 30-something manipulative womanizer. Just sayin'. Regardless, we've hit the second half of the movie and things are about to officially kick off.
Wanna ride?
No. Nope nope nope. Do not get in that truck. I repeat girl, do not get in the truck.
What the hell?
Why are you getting in that truck?
I suppose from a creative standpoint, some characters deserve to die. Ones that lack common sense or even basic survival instinct.
You coming back from the waiting?
The what?
The waiting at the beach.
Uh-uh.
You like Wagner?
Oh yeah, sure. Super.
Then he pulls out a rat and eats it, and Laura's like, fuck that shit, and bails.
Jesus.
Finally, she finds someone. But he doesn't seem to be much help. Laura follows him to Ralph's grocery store. Welcome to Ralph's, the one-stop shop for all your late-night cravings. We got candy, sodas, ice cream, and our deli is open late, so come on by for a bite of delicious meat. Feel the flesh tear from your bones as your body is consumed and your mind is swallowed by the dark gods of the abyss. A te disfrenasi il verso ardito, te invoco, o satana re del convito. Tony tries to listen to the radio, but all of the stations are dead. Meanwhile, Arletty is awoken by a strange shadowy figure, an open window, and this. Well shit, that's unsettling. Tom takes the opportunity to hit on her once more. She's like, nah. Tom kicks Tony out so he can have some alone time with Arletty. What a jerk. Arletty gets a call the next morning. It's the police informing her that they've found her father's body on the beach. I guess humans never invented basic crime scene procedure. Seriously. Look at this. They just call her up and are like, yep, he's dead over there in that heap. You wanna take a look at the heap of dead dad? But it suddenly takes on another level of sketchiness when the police tell Tom,
after this is over and we get through with some paperwork, I think you should take the young lady out of town. We're not really a tourist town, and strangers only bring problems.
Later, Tom gives the car and some cash to Tony so she will go out and see a film.
A what?
Movie.
Oh, a show. Great. I get to take the car. Then you two can be alone together.
Stay classy, Tom.
The blood moon rises once again. Please be careful.
Tom, I didn't feel it. Why didn't I feel it, Tom?
I don't know.
She tells Tom that it couldn't have been her father. The corpse was too mangled to properly identify. But her father's hands were always soft and smooth, but the bodies.
They were coarse and large. That wasn't my father.
You sure?
Yes!
Then, for the first time in the movie, Tom has a thought that doesn't involve his penis.
Tony.
Realizing he sent Tony by herself into a town filled with lying, potentially murderous cops, Tom takes off on foot to find her. Tom stumbles across a survivor who asks him for help, but
I can't.
What's wrong?
Your eye.
Too late. Starting.
I'm very sorry.
meanwhile, gross. Arletty's father finally appears, explaining to her the truth behind the town's evil presence. 100 years ago, just after the worst winter the region had experienced, a trapper stumbled across a wandering preacher in the wilderness. The trapper offered the preacher some food and the warmth of his fire. The preacher discussed the tragedies he had witnessed during the winter, famine, plague, families turning on one another. The preacher survived only by killing and eating his congregation. Then, because his dark deeds forever cut him off from the light of God, the preacher made a deal with a new deity, a dark god residing in the sea. The preacher was spared death. In return, he would disappear into the tide, returning every 100 years to spread the reach of the dark god's powers. Arletty tries to convince her father to leave Point Dune with her, but he reveals he is already too far gone.
I already tasted human flesh.
If you love your daddy, you will kill him. Can't bury him. Put him in the ground. Gotta burn him. Put fire to his body.
Fortunately for Arletty, her dad is now covered in oil paints and turpentine. Burn, baby, burn. Tom tells Arletty they need to bail, but she reveals that, like her father, she is already beginning to succumb to the curse. Tom refuses to leave her behind, probably because he still thinks he can hit that, and eventually the curse begins to take him too. Then suddenly,
Zombie's coming up the hill right now! Shoot him in the head! Shoot him! Grab the shotgun! You don't need to load it! We did that shit for you! What are you pressing select for? You don't have time to make a profile! Bitch, zombie's in the room! His axe is on fire! He killed your parents! Shoot him in the head! Shoot him in the head!
Run, coward! Run, run, run! Beware, coward.
That night, most of the town was on the beach. They built their fires, not for warmth, but as beacons to be seen from the black ocean. Following their prophecy, the moon turned blood red, and the dark stranger returned.
He let me go with a story that condemned me, knowing they wouldn't listen. He was right.
I made it there, and they put me
They assumed he was delirious. When he went into a fit, biting like a rabid dog, they shot him. The night the moon turned blood
red and the moon got up there.
Horrible, pain,
Closer.
who were no
People were
longer
being jerked, Lord hell.
crashed into farmhouses and gorged themselves.
They could do horrible things.
Foreign
Animals, folks with ships around the streets 100 years ago.
During the day, they let me out with the others. We sit in the sun and wait. We sleep. And we dream. Each of us dying slowly in the prison of our minds. And at night, I roam the empty halls, listening to their whispering. I try to find someone who can hear me, because I have to warn them that back there in that small town on the coast, they're growing in number and moving out into the rest of the world, spreading their sickness. And in order to live, they'll take you one by one, and no one will hear you